All right, and welcome back to the For the Badge podcast. I'm really excited. It's the first World Cup episode, and we got Brian and Patrick back on for this one. What's up, guys? How we doing?
Good.
Good, man.
Excited.
Good.
All righty, yeah. Let's go ahead and get it started. We'll start off with Group A. First game in the opener. I'll just start off and say I thought Qatar were underwhelming at best.
Extremely. I was very surprised to just see how bad they were. Like I thought that there was going to be some competition there, but they just looked. They truly looked like a team that didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah,
Agree with that. Ecuador looked on the front foot the whole time, and I think they played well. But Qatar, maybe
Okay.
the worst team in the tournament for my money.
Mhm.
yeah. Based on the first performances, I can definitely agree with that. I thought Ecuador backed off a bit, though. I thought they could have stayed on the front foot even more. Kind of backed off in the second half, but maybe it was a product of, look, we know y'all aren't going to score, and we might as well kind of rest a little bit, you know, for the next game. Or am I overstepping? Was it that bad?
I did feel like that that Ecuador could have put another 2 goals on them with ease, and they didn't really try. And I think that Senegal match that's coming up is going to be it's going to determine it all. And I can understand why Ecuador may have laid off the gas a little bit just so that they were completely fresh for Senegal because we talked about Qatar and being in the Gold Cup and how they looked, and it's like, okay, maybe there might be something there. And then they first off, that keeper was all over the place, but they didn't even look like they belonged, and it was crazy. Like Ecuador could have done literally anything they wanted to. And you see, and not to jump ahead, but you see like somebody like England or Spain, when they have that situation, they go and they take it. Ecuador is like, we're just gonna wait it out, and we'll just save it for Senegal.
Yeah, yeah, they could end up regretting that too, because Senegal, if that's a draw in the Ecuador Senegal game, that point differential could definitely mean something.
Oh yeah, and goal differential for sure. Yeah, I mean, Senegal. I actually was pretty impressed with them, even though they don't have Mane. I thought that they really gave Netherlands a game, and there at the end, they just kind of wore down. But if they had a goal scorer, I think that they probably take that off of the Netherlands. I was a little underwhelmed by the Netherlands, even though they won 2-0. I was pretty underwhelmed by them.
I mean, I thought Senegal were pressing at the end of that game. I thought it was, it wasn't like they were sitting back and the Dutch just, finally got them through. I felt like it was even, and they got hit on the break really at the end of the match. When they were going for the win. So I mean, I thought that was good to see, especially without Mane, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think they'll give Ecuador a lot of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. Even though Holland was, the Netherlands wasn't great, I do think that they're just going to be a bit too much, especially if they go, because Ecuador are going to have to put in the whole performance to, instead of just half the game, like they weren't pressed in the second half. I just think that, but as far as Qatar goes, I don't think they're going to offer much
No.
versus any of the other teams.
And I hate it because I actually had them advancing in second place out of that group because I was thinking, home field. I was thinking, oh, okay, I've seen this team. They may have, they may be able to run. But the one thing that I will say that I've really noticed watching these games is there's a lot of the defensive tactics to begin with. A lot of defense. It's not very open. I mean, even when a game opens up, it's still very tight and compact. Um, and I expected some of that, but I also expected some of these teams to really kind of stand out, like Spain's done and England's done so far. And
Unfortunately,
it's been pretty evenly matched. across the board, which was shocking to me.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, one of the only teams that did come out firing, it seemed like in the first couple of days, was Argentina. They end up putting 5 goals in the back of the net and losing 2-1. So maybe maybe coming out defensive is the way to go in this World Cup.
I mean, hey, they stuck to their game plan. They stuck to the strategy. Let's hold our offense, our high line at half field. When I was playing for the CSU, we played against. Actually, it was even earlier than that when I was playing in high school. We played against a team down in Charleston called Burke High School, and they played an offsides trap like that. We were offsides 30 times. We couldn't figure it out. I mean, we won 10-0, but we still were offsides. Like we scored like 10 actual goals, but we're offsides a ton. And I was honestly just surprised that the likes of Messi and Di Maria, Lautaro Martinez couldn't figure it out. Like, I mean, it seems so simple.
Yeah.
Just have a deep midfield runner and you're in. But I don't know.
Yeah, I was
like
shocked to see them struggle with that.
Yeah, it seems like that team should have had the quality to adjust. And I think they're going to be looking at the rest of this group like they got to make a statement, and Mexico might be in for it on the 26th.
Yeah.
Mexico might get the butt end of a real statement game, I'm thinking.
That was my immediate thought afterwards, was that he's not going to stand for this. It's going to be bad for whoever they got next.
Yeah,
sure.
I think so too. On the flip side, though, Saudi Arabia, I mean, let's not discount their achievement here. I think they played really well. That second goal was nasty.
It was insane.
Yeah, it's just such a nasty goal, and to beat Argentina on the back of that, I mean, all the praise to them, and I'll probably be cheering them the rest of the group. Based off that, see them go through.
Speaking of that, so did y'all see the story? It was in the Athletic. I don't know if y'all are subscribed to the Athletic, but there was a story that came out right after the Argentina Saudi Arabia match, and it was talking about how Messi is like the spokesperson for 2030 for Saudi Arabia's bid for the World Cup, and Uruguay, Argentina, and another country are bidding as for it as well. And of course, that being the Centennial World Cup, but he's like their spokesperson, and it's like, isn't that interesting? Because then you see his performance, you're like. I just finished watching FIFA Undercover, which if you haven't watched it, it's fantastic.
Sure, yeah.
It is so good. And I'm just like, I wonder if there's something to that.
I also saw something that said that maybe Messi and Argentina dropped the game so they wouldn't have to see Brazil in the quarterfinals.
That would be clever.
Fall behind for a more dramatic victory, right?
No.
No, Messi's class. There's nothing going on except Saudi Arabia put up a fight, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Argentina wants Brazil in the quarterfinal. That's a game. That's a game you live for if you're from that nation.
That would be a wild game.
I thought the Saudi Arabia fans were behind them the whole time as well. That was good to see. It's been a ton of noise at the tournament. I love to see that too. But
good support.
I think that Saudi may have a chance versus, maybe more so Poland, in my opinion, than Mexico. Poland kind of looked under it, but I think that they had invited that with the way they played. They were willing to defend well. They just didn't look like they could build anything. Mexico's press was pretty heavy, pretty strong, I thought. I mean, they are quick. That's for sure. But
yeah, I just wonder where goals are going to come from for Mexico now. I mean, other than Chucky,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's the same conundrum that I have with the U.S. It's like, where are the goals going to come from? See the same thing with Mexico.
And it just hasn't been the same.
No, he hasn't. He really, really hasn't. And
I think there might be a fitness issue. Like, Can he even do 90 minutes? He
Oh,
hasn't
no.
for
I
Wolves.
doubt it. I doubt it.
It's kind of a statement about the team when Memo Ochoa is 5th-time World Cup. He's a captain. He's the hero. He's what everybody, the whole story is kind of about. Speaking of goals, though, like if Lewandowski isn't going to score penalties,
Poland's in trouble.
Score.
Poland's in trouble. That was a terrible PK.
it wasn't great.
Cho's got a knack for saving them in the World Cup, though.
He does. Yeah.
Let's not undercut. He might be the man of the match in that game. So
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm
like,
saying. Yeah, that was what I was saying. Yeah.
yeah.
But
I wasn't too impressed with either of those teams. I think, to your point, Mexico doesn't look like they can score, and Poland doesn't look like they can build to score. They can't get it to their playmakers, and that's going to be a problem definitely against Argentina. But Saudi Arabia comes out and has the belief and has the fight. If you beat Argentina, I'm not counting you out of anything.
if
So,
I'm Saudi, I'm licking my chops right now.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And to kind of go back to our previous podcast, I asked who from that region might stand out, and none of us mentioned Saudi Arabia. But look at what they've done in match day one for them. They looked good.
Certainly
I mean, it
stood out.
wasn't like a fluke by any means. Like they looked good.
Value for it. Absolutely. Absolutely are, I thought. So they'll definitely be looking. It's going to be interesting. What are they play Poland next, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be looking for sure. Yeah. I mean, you almost fancy them in that game after that. So yeah, good for them. That's definitely good. Another of the countries in that region, Tunisia, I thought brought a lot of heart, at least a lot of energy versus Denmark, who I didn't think were great, to be honest with you. In that one.
I didn't like Denmark at all in that game. I thought Tunisia was would have been the team to take that if someone was going to. But I thought that was one of the more boring games of the World Cup so far. Denmark didn't look like they brought much, and I don't fancy them at all. And maybe in this group facing Australia as their biggest opponent, but I think Australia takes down Tunisia and yeah, I don't fancy Denmark at all here.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of the Denmark Tunisia, but just kind of going back and looking at some things, I was very underwhelmed. I watched pretty much all the France Australia match, and I could see those two being 1 and 2 in this group now because Denmark was just so disappointing, and Tunisia they may surprise. I mean, they may get they may pull one against Australia, and then at that point you're at 4 points. It's they could make it through, but I was actually I was watching the Australia France match, and Australia goes and scores right away, like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, okay. And they were very high pressing, very aggressive, and it caught France off for a little bit, but then France does what France does, and of course Olivier Giroud. I mean, come on, man.
Got a knack for it.
He's amazing. I mean, I think he's the only crossover from Arsenal to Chelsea that both fan bases still love the guy. He's just that great. And then just seeing him score 2, I mean, that was fantastic.
Yeah, that was great. Especially, and obviously good, good for France, but they weren't worried. Everybody else might have been worried, but oh, there's no Pogba, there's no Conte, but yeah, okay, Rabiot comes in, Chukwuemeka. I probably pronounced that wrong, but he had a good game. Rabiot scores. Like they made it look. I mean, they weren't there for 10 minutes. But once the dragon got poked in the eyeball, they were like, you know what? All right then.
Yeah.
They're dangerous.
It was the when Hernandez went off, which was unfortunate. It's like a light switch like clicked on for them, because as soon as that happened, I don't know if it was like a reset for them or what, but they turned into the France that we were expecting. And I gotta say, Mbappe gets all the credit for his runs and his goals and whatnot, but that cross to Giroud, oh my gosh. Like I went back and watched it 5, 6 times because it was just that good. I mean, it was a fantastic cross. And, he puts it anywhere else, it's cleared out. But he put it right on his forehead, and it was fantastic. So I'm excited to see what France does once they actually get a little bit more competition. I am still a little bit worried about that midfield, even though they're talented like crazy. Can Rabiot stand up to it? Can Tukamini stand up to it? And even Kamiga, if he gets to start or play a good bit of time.
I mean, based on performances, though, I just think they're gonna roll in the group.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, I don't see how anybody slows them down right now.
Yeah, if you take away that first 15 minutes of the game before Hernandez goes out, and you look at the final bit of that game, I mean, I know Spain put in 7, but I don't know that I saw a team play better so far than France did. I thought it beautiful build up. Giroud is an absolute animal. If he gets the opportunity, it's going in the back of the net, and a lot of teams are missing that. A lot of the bigger teams are missing that. I think France runs over this group, and it's going to take a big matchup to take them down. I do think there could be some questions in the midfield, but I, for me, I think they look the best. When you got Griezmann and Mbappe in there, how bad could it be in the midfield?
Sure.
I actually loved what they did. And there was a bit of a question about how they would line up in their front four, and with because I figured it'd be the opposite of what they did, and Dembele would be the number 10 role, but Ousmane Dembele was one of the wingers, and Mbappe was a winger, and Griezmann slotted into the center attacking mid, and I just thought it worked wonders.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
looked fantastic. I don't know if Griezmann's played there a lot. I know he plays winger for Madrid and he was winger for Barcelona. But yeah, they just got it. They've got it in bagfuls there in
Mm-hmm.
France.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we'll move on to another group, possibly the biggest upset, maybe one of the best performances from a team that upsets. Japan beats Germany.
Yeah.
Fantastic from Japan.
Oh yeah. That
Not only did they upset,
what?
Well, I mean, just
yeah,
on
go ahead,
paper.
Patrick.
I was going to say, that run up to the World Cup for the United States looks a little bit more difficult now than it did originally. Saudi Arabia, Japan, but the thing about Japan, they're just so organized. And I'm telling you, that second goal, man, that's just one you dream about. I mean, he just straight
Landon
roofed it
Donovan
over him.
2010.
Exactly. Yeah, against Slovenia.
Yeah. I mean, it's a horror goal to give up if you're
Oh
Germany.
yeah.
It's just right over the top, and just beats the defender. They were talking about how Schutterbach has 3 red cards in 6 appearances for Germany, and he's given away 2 pins or something, and that's like his whole stats for Germany. And he got the start in the back, and that he was afraid to take down Asano and give another penalty. That's what ESPN FC supposed. I'm not a huge fan of theirs, but that was what they were saying. But I don't know. I thought Japan were huge value for this win for
Oh
sure.
yeah. I was
I not
disappointed in
only,
Germany.
yeah, as was I. I think not only did Japan get the upset here, I think they fought to be the better team. They stood up with Germany the entire game. They scored good goals. They had their possessions. They had their build-ups, and I like Japan moving forward here. I don't think this is a fluke at all. I don't think this
Oh
is a
no.
fluke. I think that Japan team looks really nice, and Belgium didn't look that good against Canada. I think so. I think Japan could take a run at
Oh no,
Belgium, and with
man.
Canada getting a
Group.
very poor result in their
Wrong.
first game,
It's the wrong group,
maybe
dude.
Japan gets out of this thing.
Brian, you got the wrong group, man. Germany are in trouble.
Oh yeah, they're in tons of
Germany
trouble.
plays Spain
Oh,
next.
that's the
Sunday
Spain Costa Rica.
afternoon.
Yeah.
They're
I,
in
Oh yeah.
trouble.
Oh, Germany's in big trouble.
I just, I mean,
Maybe Japan doesn't get out of group thing because I can't see Germany actually dropping all the way, but maybe they do.
Dude,
well, I
after
mean, if Japan beats
and
Costa
how
Rica, they're
bad
pretty much
Costa Rica
clear.
is,
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, how are Japan going to go out at, Germany is going to have to 100% beat Spain.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't see that either.
Spain looked really good, but I think I think the competition played as much of a role as how good Spain was. So I'm going to be interested to see Spain against maybe a competition that is to their level because Costa Rica
Next
looked
game.
terrible.
It's coming. It's the next game.
I
Germany.
mean, Costa Rica looked terrible. Like it was, you got Joel Campbell who's just kind of walking across midfield, not even trying to defend, and
Former
you know.
Arsenal man. Come on, man.
Hey,
It was 15 years ago, but still.
yeah, I know, right? But no, I was really, even Kaylor Navas. I mean, he couldn't even save them.
I mean, you can't blame it on him though.
Oh no! He was a one man. He had a hand behind his back. It seemed like in that one. I mean, Spain just did whatever they wanted to, but also Costa Rica really didn't pressure them. They just let them do what they want, and you hate to see that, especially in the World Cup. I mean, you would think that there would be a little bit more, but I mean, Spain looked good, but I think that they're going to be challenged a little bit more by Germany. But I just don't know what Germany we're going to see. Like, I was really disappointed with that German team. Like, it just didn't seem like a cohesive group at all.
No. It is worth noting that the 18-year-old youngest player to ever play in the World Cup for Spain, Gavi was his name, and he scores. And not only that, he has a good performance. I mean, I guess it wasn't hard to have a good performance versus a listless Costa Rica, but I thought he looked decent in there in the middle. Gets his goal. I mean, what a moment! 18 years old. So that's a moment right there.
No, I think that Spain's midfield looked incredible, and we could talk about how bad Costa Rica was or is, but I mean, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia. Japan beats Germany. I mean, you still got to get it done in the World Cup, and people come to play, and Spain absolutely dominated that game.
Oh yeah,
midfield just stopped any hope that Costa Rica ever had, and they can obviously put goals in the back of the net. So if you have any, if you have any doubts about is this a Spain team that's going to play like a former Spain team, I think it got answered. And any questions you have about France's midfield, I mean, Spain just looked the polar opposite. They look like they can get it done all over the pitch, and so I think. Yeah, I had the groups confused a little, but yeah, I think you're right. I think Japan's in a world of hurt here.
I mean,
Germany. I think Germany's in a world of hurt, and
it's a must win already. It's a must win position already because you
is that
can't
the next game for them?
It is.
Germany is next. You can't expect, on performance, you cannot expect Rica to do anything.
Mm-mm.
And you would expect Japan to just cruise. So look out, man. Germany are going to have to come for it. That's for sure. Speaking of coming for it, man, Canada went for it, and I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken on
Super
this
disappointed. Super disappointed.
Yeah,
Canada.
Continue,
They looked
Brian.
amazing.
Sorry.
They looked amazing in CONCACAF qualifying. They get put in the third bowl and get drawn the group of death. and then they come out looking so good, and to not get any points out of that game, that's heartbreaking for them. I mean, as an American, that's only half cheering for them. It was heartbreaking for me to watch. I thought, it was,
Tragedy for sure.
yeah.
I know we're going to talk about USA here in a minute, and that will probably be a very long discussion. But the one thing that I will say is I've got to give Canada all the credit in the world. They took it to Belgium. You know, you see teams, especially get into that situation where they're facing a team that they shouldn't have a chance against. Sit back, bunker. Okay, we're going to hit them on the counter. No, Canada's like, no, we're gonna play you. We're gonna play you straight up, and it really, I think it caught Belgium off guard. Honestly,
Way
I
off.
think, and I think that's why somebody like Hazard, De Bruyne, they look terrible because I think they were expecting a more, defensive game where their style would have taken over. But Canada's like, no, we're coming at you, and you're gonna have to stop us. And it sucks that Alfonso Davies missed that PK. You just think about probably what was going through his head first off, and all the pressure already. We talked about pressure with Pulisic and whatnot for the U.S., but for Alfonso Davies, you're talking about he's the guy for Canada's national team, and he's stepping up to the PK spot, and he doesn't convert. Hopefully that doesn't wear on him, and you hope it doesn't. And hopefully they can continue to look good, because I think they can get out of this group now. I really do. I was a little bit concerned when I first saw the matchups. I was like, oh, okay, Belgium should be through. Croatia is going to be tough. Morocco should be a win. I think they get out of it now.
Yeah. Did you notice that they were talking about it on one of the broadcasts? I'm watching a bunch of different channels, but they're talking about how the referee made Alfonso stand there with the ball for a minute and a half, just standing there staring at the goal, because he's over here making sure people aren't over the line. He making sure Courtois doesn't step over the line. He walks over to the other side and turns around. He's taking his sweet time. And they also said that Alfonso is 2 for 2 on penalties for Canada, but David, I think it was Loreen, one of the other forwards, was 9 for 12. And they were talking about, that kind of pressure, who steps up in moments like that. And I think Davies picked it up because of how good he was in qualifying. Like you were saying, he was kind of the star man in qualifying, and maybe everyone looked to him, to pick it up. That's what a moment, though. I mean, I couldn't imagine how much pressure that is. First time in the tournament in 40 years for your nation, and it was kind of early too, so it's like, wow, we could, but yeah, they deserve to score there. They deserve
That
to
was
score.
an interesting moment. It seemed like he was standing over that PK for a long time. There was a bunch of stuff going on right behind him. The ref was just couldn't get it sorted out, I guess.
Yeah,
Either way, it couldn't have helped with the pressure, and
yeah.
couldn't get it done. Really unfortunate for Canada, but I think Patrick, you're right. I mean, looking at that other game, neither of those teams impressed as much as Canada. I thought, I think you're right. I think Croatia underwhelmed for sure, and Morocco, kind of looked like what you thought they would. So I like
Yeah.
Canada too.
All Morocco had was a little bit of energy. I thought that game was real, forgettable at best. To be honest, Croatia need to bring more. That's for sure. I expected a lot more, but they don't really seem to have a number 9. So got to score goals. Got to score goals. But yeah, I agree 100%. I think Canada find just a tiny bit of quality, and they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine. Speaking of needing some quality, that Switzerland Cameroon game was also, although I think it went to plan for Switzerland, it still was kind of a dud. Cameroon will be disappointed, I feel like, but kind of a tight.
Switzerland are just not a team that you're dying to watch. Like out here in Texas, we got to get up at 4 a.m. for some of these games, and in Switzerland, I mean, they're just not a brand of football you're really dying to see. Cameroon comes out with a lot of energy,
I made that
as a lot of these underdogs have, and Yeah, I think you're right. I think them not getting at least a point out of this one, they'll be sad about. But
Yeah,
I
I
won't
didn't
be
see this
sad
one.
if I won't. Yeah, well, it's tough to get up at 4 a.m. for Switzerland. That's for sure. I think Brazil. I think Brazil, Serbia is that the other two in their
Yeah.
group. I think both of them will be licking their chops to get out of group here. Even though Serbia takes a tough loss to Brazil, it's just a tough game, and they still came to fight in that one. I think they look positive, and I think if you look ahead to the rest of this group, I think you like their chances after seeing what they did versus Brazil.
You know, the one thing that I made sure to watch Brazil today because I wanted to see, you know, what the, you know, you're talking number one team
See
in the
him prove
world,
it.
all that.
Want to
You
see
know,
him prove it.
I just want to see them prove it. And I'm telling you, at times it felt like they were playing with their food. Like they were just kind of, you know, I think they have what, 26, 27 shots. I think 13 of them were on goal. You know, there was one sequence where, um, I think it was even Casemiro. He hit it off of the upper 90.
Yeah.
Just
That was a
like
rip.
what? Yeah,
That was a rip.
exactly.
I mean, when your substitutes are Arsenal's front two, you know, two of Arsenal's attacking three, and those were your
You don't think you're going to
subs.
be in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
Good
mean,
God, man.
you
It's
think
interesting.
about the talent, and
Casemiro had a good game.
you think about the talent, and then you actually see it. You know, like, oh, okay, you know, this is the starting 11. You know, you see all these teams, and you see their starting 11. You're like, wow, they're talented, and then you see who their subs are. And you're like, okay, kind of falling off. No, there's no fall off for
But the
Brazil.
subs are Anthony, Jesus, and Martinelli.
Martinelli, exactly.
Yeah, man. But you know, Casemiro has gotten lost in some of the United games, and I thought that he would be important, but I just think they're so good. They keep the ball so well. They, you know, it's just they move as a team so well that he didn't, you know, he doesn't have to be superb in this squad. You know, and I thought they were just too much.
Can we
Uh,
talk about the Richarlison goal, the second goal? I mean, I know he's a Tottenham guy. I get that, but man,
all the props, all the
that was
respect.
a
That was
fantastic goal.
sick. In the World Cup too, man. Take a
Oh
bow.
yeah,
Yeah, he got the other goal too. Just it was.
yeah.
I mean, good for you, man. You know, absolutely. That was. What do you? What I mean, just class. What can you say? That was
Oh
awesome.
yeah. They took off Vinny Jr. and they put on Rodrigo as well.
Oh yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
just like, oh okay.
It's dumb,
You know that backline's
Everyone
like,
off
okay,
their
all right.
bench.
Oh crap.
right? Yeah, that's incredible. They answered the defensive questions. You know, how are Silva and Marquinhos going to do as a pairing? I thought they were, you know, they were great. And they were going to need to be, you know, Serbia looked to hit Mitrovic, and they wanted to be super physical, and they were. And I thought Brazil just kind of, you know, swatted them away. But that's not to say that Serbia were bad,
Oh no.
like you're saying, Brian. I think they had a good showing against the best team. You know, well, FIFA thinks they're the best in the world, but they're definitely have an argument for one of the best in this tournament, and I think that Serbia will be just fine. I think they'll be able to bully Switzerland. I think they'll be able to bully Cameroon. And hopefully, because I'm a I'm a Mitrovic fan. Hopefully, he'll be able to get himself some World Cup goals as well.
I heard a crazy stat. I don't know if you heard it, but the the number one team in the world that's entered the World Cup has never won the World Cup.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I think they were talking about
Yeah.
that in Brazil game.
Yeah.
That's an interesting stat line. I'm sure England has a couple of notches on that.
I think
Probably.
I think that might have more to say with FIFA's ranking system.
This is true.
Somehow Ghana have made the World Cup, and yet they're ranked 61st in FIFA. You know,
How about that
FIFA
one?
certainly doesn't respect Africa and CONCACAF teams. That's for sure.
no.
They don't give a ton.
How about
They
Portugal?
love their
Ghana?
European nations.
Yeah,
That was a fantastic match too.
fantastic game, fantastic match. I mean, even before all the goals, I thought it was a tight match for
Mhm.
sure. I thought Portugal got a little bit frustrated before they scored in the second half, and I worry about the Portugal team because they just started diving. Jao
Mhm.
Felix flopping all over the place. Bruno Fernandez flopping all over the place. I thought the penalty was.
It was soft. Even though
eh,
what was it? Mark Clattenburg said that he would have called it
Yeah.
a penalty.
I mean, he gets the. I feel like he got okay. Ronaldo did touch the ball. I saw that, but then he also touches the ball before he gets the man.
Mhm.
Who'd be a referee?
No, I thought it was actually really good. I'm always interested to see how Ghana plays, just because they've given the United States so much trouble over the years. I'm always interested to see what's the next thing we got to worry about with them. And sure, the next World Cup that we play against them. But I mean, I thought they looked good. We talk about Ghana not getting respect, and I mean they have Thomas Partey, but other than IU, like it seemed like a bunch of guys that you really just hadn't really stand it. I mean, I heard Baba Rahman's name, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's still a Chelsea player."
Andre Ayew, who's the captain.
You
Andre
know,
Ayew, it's his fourth cup.
yeah, and it's just like but they gave them a scare and a half, and oh my gosh, we almost had us a draw.
The very end of that game, dude. Oh, I would have loved to seen it. My man just creeping in the goal comes out. Oh, man, he saw it. He could see it in his mind before it was going on. He's like, I've just made a run that's left me in the goal. No one's gonna pay attention to me, and he almost did it. How does he slip at the most important moment of his career? Oh
Yeah,
man, I
so
couldn't believe it. I couldn't
Wondolowski
believe
moment.
it. Oh
Oh,
man.
oh,
We were talking. I looked up the MLS goal scoring stats because we were talking, Brian. I'm sad that I did. I'm sad that I looked that up.
what's
There's
that?
no one even close. The only current player in the MLS is like 45 goals back from Wondolowski.
Wow.
It's not great.
Yeah, he
But he can't
tainted his
make it. He
legacy
can't
a
get a
bit.
sitter in the World Cup.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
We're almost there. We're almost there. Let's talk about the other half of the group. Uruguay and Korea. I thought that this was also a great game, even though it was a 0-0. That's maybe the best 0-0 that we've had in the tournament.
Korea looked really lively. And before we jump right over this Portugal Ghana game, I want to ask what you think. Portugal looks a bit dramatic. They're getting frustrated in Ghana in the first half. There's a ton of drama surrounding Cristiano Ronaldo. What do y'all think? How do y'all think that that looks going forward in the group, and if they make it out? You think this drama kind of seeps in, and
I think Cristiano's loving it, man. I think he stirred it up right before the tournament. He's been stirring it up all season. I think he loves the attention. I think that he feeds off of it. He's always super passionate when he's wearing the Portugal jersey, and I think he's walking a real fine line, to be honest with you, because if it doesn't go well, he will be a villain. But win and nobody
yeah,
can.
I even saw some videos, of him, not getting much love in the locker room, and some talks of that and stuff. So I obviously am not cheering for Portugal in this World Cup. I was cheering against Portugal even today with the Heartbreakers Ghana on the match, so I'll be cheering against them the whole time, even though I love my man Bruno. I just was curious what y'all thought about the drama and about Cristiano, and
I'll
kind of
say
a soft group. Should think they're probably getting out, but I don't know. A lot going on
Well,
there.
one thing, and I think back to Germany in was it 14? Did they won? Yeah, in 14. And they were always building. You saw them in game one. They kind of, if y'all remember, that match against Ghana was, I think, a draw, if I remember right. It was either that or it was really, really close. And they were always building. And there's one thing that I was noticing today about Portugal that I thought was interesting is it felt like they were still trying to find themselves. Of course, you got Cristiano, you got, João, you've got Bruno Fernandes, but it still felt like there was something missing. And then, maybe Rafael Leo is that guy. I mean, you think about their run when they won the Euros. I mean, that was a Portugal group that really had, or Portugal team that really had no business getting as far as they did. And then, of course, winning the Euros altogether. So I'm not 100% sure what we're going to get from this Portugal team. They've got the talent to really make a run, but you're right. That whole drama side of things, what's going on in that locker room? Are we going to have a France situation where they end up hating each other, or do they rally around it and decide, okay, we're going to play together and we're going to get through this? I think that there are some cracks in that team, but I think the talent can overtake that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you say, if Ronaldo wins it, none of that matters. If he has a few huge performances, is bagging goals, I don't think any of it matters. But I think all of it will come into focus real sharp if they don't perform. And looking at the other game, looking at the other teams, I think they could struggle against Korea because, like you said, they seem a group of individuals less than a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like
Korea
Germany
looks sharp. And
yeah.
Fun fact: do y'all realize? So they said today that Ronaldo was the first man to score in 5 World Cups. His first World Cup match was against the United States, 2002 in Korea.
We won 3-2.
Oh, it was amazing! I remember waking up for that one. That was wild.
Yep. Well, speaking of the good old US of A, we'll bring it back around to Group B. I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous about tomorrow, to be honest with you. Even though I thought, we showed that we had the capacity to hold on to the ball and dominate the game. Yes, it was a lot of sideways passing, a lot of back, but it was very controlled. It seemed like they wanted to keep control and not let it get too crazy, not let it get too back and forth in that first half. But Brian, you said it. I think the lack of adjusting, which we showed in the second half, might be rough for us tomorrow.
devastating in our first game. We come out and I can't remember a better first half of World Cup football from the United States. And we can't get the second. We can't get a little cushion, and then we end up getting only 1 point out of the game. I think me and you were talking throughout the game, and we were both recognized that the team looked like they needed an adjustment way earlier than they got one. The substitution seemed obviously coming for 15, 20 minutes before. I think coach got to do better in the England game. No matter how the game starts, no matter how we get to halftime, there's going to be a need for a lot of adjustment. And the team's going to be tired. They're going to have to leave it all on the field. So we're going to need subs too. And I just think I'm nervous if we can't produce that, because we do have talent off the bench, and I think that if we utilize that earlier, maybe this is a different conversation. Maybe tomorrow's not such a nervy occasion. Maybe we have 3 points already and a little cushion. I'm curious to what y'all think about what the team should look like tomorrow. Should we come out the same way? Sargent, is he still in for y'all? McKinney, Musa, I'm not sure that I love their performance in the second half. Tim Way outside of the goal was a bit of a passenger. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean,
No.
I think you got to have Sargent out there. He's probably our best hold up player. As 9, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Josh Sargent by any means. But I think that's what we're gonna not to pull up a Chelsea memory, but I think that you go into a match where you're overmatched, and that's or outman, like we're going to against England. There's no other way to put it. I think back to when Chelsea played Barcelona before they went to the Champions League final, and they had that hold up man in Drogba, and it was just literally just try to hold on as long as you can and take your shot when you get it and see what happens. And that may be what we have to do. I mean, right now, personally, I've got us losing 3-1. I don't. I don't know where goals are going to come from. I really don't. And that's the frustrating thing about
You
all
put
of
us
this.
down for one. You just got to put us down for
Well-
heroic Belgium style performance the rest of the game, man. You got
Well,
us on a goal.
I think you
What do
hit
you
on.
think about Gio Reyna coming in for Tim Way? I know he got the goal, but it's a bit of a passenger, and we have talent that we can move into that slot.
Well, I think you hit on it, Patrick. Especially if we do bring in Gio Reyna, who I feel is definitely a bit better on the ball, more technical, and maybe not the guy that's gonna blast it past everybody in behind. If we have Josh Sargent in because he holds the ball up well, then yes, I think that Reyna should replace Weah, and we try to build, because that might be how we're, like the only way we're going to be able to keep the ball when it's not like a counter-attacking kind of situation. I would love to see us hit them on counters, because they're going to press. But when we do have a controlled possession, um, I think it's going to be tough for us to run in behind Trippier. And maybe if Kyle Walker gets a start, because he's been back in training, I've been hearing talk about him. And so if we are going to try that style, because I was thinking maybe we should play Haji right, but that's if we're trying to hit in behind and run in behind, which,
Didn't look good in the first game, though.
Yeah,
They gave us room in that second half behind the midfield.
15
and
minutes.
we pulled the ball up.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to be, it just depends on how they're going to approach it. I really think they need to have more incision, more passes in, and if we think Josh Sargent is the guy to hold the ball up, then I think you need technicians around him, to be able to receive the ball from him going forward, so that he has an outlet. Even if you hold the ball up, you can't just be isolated like it's a Tottenham match, for Harry Kane up there the whole time. So I think we were talking about
You
it.
have that in Pulisic, I think. He's a perfect guy to knock the ball down. He has the technical ability, and I think Gio's a nice player on the other side. But if we're looking to play on the counter attack, I mean, that's obviously not the lineup we should put in. I think you're right on Haji, but I think that he didn't show anything in the first, when he comes in. He didn't. We were pulling the ball up with space in behind. We weren't going for the fast counter, and so I don't see that as how the team's looking at beating England. I think if the team looks at how they played and they try to play their best football and win in that style, we can't play the counterattack, and that's going to be tough, because we're going to have Sargent holding the ball up and make things happen.
I think we can, man. You asked me the other day if I'm coach, how I'm approaching the game. And I think I still, I still want to say, go with my heart and say that because we have Tyler Adams, and because we have, Anthony Robinson is really fast in the recovery. And Serginho Dest is really fast in the recovery, occasionally, sometimes. I think we got to go for it. I think we can. I think these guys know the England team. A lot of them have played together. And I
Is
think
going for it Is that counterattacking?
No, I'm saying
No,
we try to play, what they're
Like
gonna do.
Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Try to have a ton of the ball. Try to keep the ball ourselves. Try to high press without the ball and really kind of take it to them. I just worry about giving them the ball and sitting off and letting them. I just worry. I just worry that yes, we can withstand it, but not for 90 minutes.
No.
I agree. I think we have to play like the first half of the Wales game. We have to try to play our best game, and if they beat us, they beat us. I mean,
I
it
think it's
sucks,
huge.
when your own fans are feeling like we're getting 3-1, but I think you just got to go out and play. I think we look good in the first half, and I think that we can beat this team. I think they have leaks in the back. I'm not, as a Man U fan, I'm not sold on Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw back there. So I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I think we play at them.
my
Yeah.
concern is Greg's tactics first off. I mean, he got schooled in the second half. There's no other way to put it. He got completely schooled in the second half, and then his subs. I mean, I understand that Serginho needed to come off, but Yedlin, like, why?
Terrible.
I mean, who else? Dest had that.
Daly
Dest needed to.
more.
That was a terrible. So I completely agree. Yedlin.
I mean, as soon as Yedlin came on, they went right at him, and there was nothing he could do.
He's looking old, that's for sure.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and then, I mean, I understood the Acosta sub. I did. But I also think that at this point in our development as a soccer nation, that shouldn't be the sub that we have to make in the World Cup. We should have a better talent to bring
A little
on.
unfair to Acosta, I think.
Well, no, I like Acosta. Don't get me wrong. I like Acosta, but he also looked a little bogged down there late. And I don't know if it's because we were trying to chase it or what, but I mean, I will give him credit though. That foul was fantastic. That may have saved us 2 points.
Vital.
Or saved us a point. I mean, but I've not been a fan of Greg. I call him Triple G because I know that he's proven me wrong with that Gold Cup run and the match against Mexico, but I think this is a totally different animal, and I think this is where his lack of tactical planning and mind really gets to kind of get exposed of sorts.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with you in that first game for sure. He got schooled in the second half, and it is definitely a problem looking at tomorrow. It is definitely a problem. He's going to have to do better.
I don't know. I was thinking that, as much as we say, Acosta maybe looked under, we all looked under it. They all looked up against it at the end of the game. And maybe that was a bit of naivety to not expect that Wales were going to come out with such energy. But I would not be surprised even, and definitely not like mad if Acosta started over Musa and Aronson started instead of McKennie.
I think you have to do that if you're gonna. Musa does push the ball, but I think you're gonna have somebody who's gonna protect that back line a little bit better, and I think Acosta fits that role better than Musa for sure.
Experience, a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some of the team keep their cool a little better. I thought Weston McKennie kind of lost the plot there for a second.
So did Pulisic.
Yeah, Pulisic. I mean, Zimmerman obviously lost the plot in the worst way, in the very worst of ways. So I think that's another thing to be worried about tomorrow. Some of the inexperience showed, and maybe we got the first one out of the way. Maybe now they all have a game under their belt and they a little more know what to expect. But McKennie, Pulisic, Zimmerman, I think I think the coach would have had a talking to him about, keeping their cool, focusing on the game, focusing on their fundamentals, and not just losing it. McKinney, if he comes on and he kind of starts flying into tackles again, he's going to be out for the third game, whether coach wants him in or not. So,
Do you sit him?
I don't know that I sit him. I don't know. It's a question of what the tactic is going in tomorrow. I think I agree that Acosta. I like Acosta, so I'd like to see him in. And I think Tyler Adams played brilliantly. So
Oh, he was fantastic.
He was the rock for us. So if he could get, I thought McKinney played good in the first half, and until I feel like
It's like the
he
36.
just lost his cool. Yeah, he just lost his cool with the ref. I don't know what happened, and then just starts flying into stuff. I mean,
Well, the ref
aside from
he was terrible.
Aside from that, I liked. Yeah, it was really bad. And these yellow cards could be bad for us. The Tim Ream yellow could be bad for us, because there could be a moment where you just have to take a tactical yellow, and then our guy's out for the third game. Hopefully we're on the front foot in that third game, so our defensive structure isn't tested as much. But yeah, all those yellows that he insisted on chucking out could be harmful. What do y'all think about Way? Did y'all like his performance? Obviously, he gets the goal, and he's the hero on the day if we don't get scored on. But
He didn't do anything
is he
else.
the odd man out up front?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's interchangeable. Yeah, I don't think he's an automatic start.
But
My
I think
question
he
is
as well.
My question is how do you justify bringing on Jordan Morris? You're chasing for a goal. How do you justify that?
Morris, I've known about him for a long time. He definitely did well in Seattle, but yeah, I agree. Where's Reyna? Where's Reyna?
Reyna is exactly what we needed in that situation. Somebody calm on the ball, somebody who can do something, can make a play. Jordan Morris is just going to run into a brick wall, pretty much.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever been impressed with Jordan Morris.
He was great in college.
Yeah, I do remember that. But yeah, I think that tomorrow it's just going to take a little bit of an X factor, a little bit of heart, or a lot of bit of heart actually. But yeah, somebody's going to have to step up, be a hero, really, really kind of lead by example with maybe it's Pulisic, maybe it's Tyler Adams. I just expect Tyler Adams to have the same performance. He's been doing that at Leeds all season. He's just been locked down at Leeds. Yeah, oh yeah, he's been brilliant at Leeds all season. I think that's and he's the whole reason why I think we can go toe to toe with England. Because if we hold on to the ball, if we keep the ball and try to build, and then they hit us on the break, that's where that's where he is.
Yeah.
I think it might be smart if Acosta starts, or even if it's Musa, to just stick him to Bellingham. Just try to be in Jude Bellingham's pocket, because that kid had a game versus Iran.
Well, the one thing you have to remember also is Musa's been in that team before. He knows some of the tactics that England likes to play with. He's played with those guys. Maybe that's a leg up for him to get in a start too.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't change much.
But I will say this: everybody takes away the 7-2, 6-2, whatever it was. 6-2 from England and scoring and all that. But again, I said it in the beginning, who's going to do the Calvin Phillips role? And Declan Rice killed it in game one. Just straight killed it.
He's a monster. He's been one of West Ham's best players for sure. Most consistent. Yeah, he's the first name on the sheet at West Ham. So, I think, he does the exact same thing Tyler Adams does for us. And he's one of those. That's one of my favorite positions on the best club team that I was ever on. That's the position that I played, and it's unsung. There's no plaudits. There's no glory. You don't get talked about in the newspaper, but it's just incredibly important. Why do you think Thomas Partey is my favorite player on the Arsenal squad right now? Like that's what he does for us. And having that, Rodrigo, it's Rodrigo at City that does that. It was Conte for Chelsea, and having that player is so incredibly important. Uh, and I think we are more than blessed to have Tyler Adams in our
Oh
squad
yeah,
right now. So
he's
yeah, and
incredible.
like I say, he's the reason because he can provide that cover and give our other two midfielders the freedom, the kind of security in their mind. It's like, okay, yeah, I can go forward. I can try this maybe a little bit riskier pass because I know my man's right behind me. He's
Mhm.
looking out, and that's why I
That
have
second half,
I have hope.
yeah, in that second half, he was so big for us because he made some covering runs for, I think it was Aronson, that just like it drifts off into the middle and lets a guy run at our 18, and we could just go down another goal there. I think you're right. I think Tyler Adams are hard. What about Pulisic? What about the headliner?
I mean, I thought he was so. I thought he had some good stuff. I thought in the first half he was like giving him trouble for sure on the wing. Um, I thought he had to defend a lot in the second half, which kind of maybe takes away from what he could have done in the second half. But yeah, I thought
Definitely
just like
wasn't on the same page as Haji Wright once Haji came on. He's pulling it up and Haji's just making runs behind defenders, and I don't like that pairing.
no,
And I wish Pepe was on the squad.
Oh yeah,
I think those
yeah,
two would be more together. But I think Pulisic had a really nice first half, and I think in the second half, uh, it was a tough game, and there was some tired legs and some beat up bodies, and he definitely was one of them because they were putting shots on him the whole game,
it
and
was like
I
watching.
think
cool.
Oh, keep
yeah,
going, Brandon. Brian, sorry.
I
Super.
think yeah, I guess that's what I was saying. Is I think he had a really nice first half, and I think it's just a bit of tired legs at the end of the second, and a bit of Haji Wright just not on the same page. Just the runs the kids making. I mean, they're just I don't know. Maybe there's a difference between Turkish football and in the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think Haji is dependent upon our style, depending on what we're trying to do. Um, but I don't know. I would not be surprised at all if it's the same front three. It wouldn't surprise me if Berhalter doesn't make the change. I think he should. I think Rene at least should get a shot at some point, if not the whole game. So I think McKinney gets hooked too, for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I thought that. I mean, he did get some his. I thought they should have subbed him at halftime as well.
I mean,
So
that's the thing about Greg is that he seems to make a sub about 10, 15 minutes too late. And, something happens along the way, whether it's a guy that is so tired he does a tactical yellow, or we get beat on something. But to go back to Pulisic, it kind of reminded me when Eden Hazard was at Chelsea and everybody would just like kick him. They would just try to get him on the ground, and that's what it felt like. I can't remember who the guy's name was, but number 5 for Wells, it was like, okay, frustrate him as much as you can, kick him, push him, pull him, do whatever you can. And I thought that a little bit of that inexperience really started to show for Christian, because he got frustrated. And should there have been cards? I don't know if that guy got a card or not. Should there have
Yeah,
been
he
cards?
did.
Yes, he did. Okay, finally. It felt like he
Yeah,
never was going to get one. Um,
yeah, he
but
did.
I understand him being frustrated, but that's kind of that maturity level that he has to take that next step. Like, you got to play through it. You look at Ronaldo, he plays through it. Messi plays through it. And I'm not saying that Pulisic's ever going to be at that level. Huh?
Neymar definitely played through it today.
Exactly. And I'm not saying he's ever going to be on that level. I don't think so. But it's just that next step. Like, you got to play through it. You can't let it, wear on you. And I think that rubs off on the team. His frustration rubbed off on the team, and then they got frustrated. And then you look at what Dawson Zimmerman does. I mean, that's elementary. The guy's back is to goal. Like, he's not going to take a shot. Just close him down. Don't go flying in on a tackle.
Fulham did to City. It's the exact same thing that Fulham did to City when João Cancelo took the red card 13 minutes into the game, and Fulham were all over him for the rest of the game. At City, had a chance to win and give away I mean, yeah, that just is so deflating. So deflating, and it's a worry that it just comes from, like you say, Brian, just a moment of madness, just a rush of blood, panic stations. Like you say, Bale's back.
It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, heartbreaking. We gotta, like, I'm begging, praying to the soccer gods that we got that one out of the way. Like you say, we got that out of our system, and if it's
we have to, because if we didn't get it out of our system, we're not going through. I mean, the too many guys. It's Zimmerman, it's Pulisic, it's McKinney. I mean, I don't know, whether Pulisic started or not, but the team was losing their head for sure. I mean, they were, rush of blood for a couple of them, and we got to clean that up. We got to clean that up because we have to be firing on all cylinders tomorrow morning.
I think it's a good thing. I think it'll be big for us that we'll know the result of Wales-Iran before our game.
Most definitely.
Because they're the 5 a.m. tomorrow. Wales is the first game tomorrow, and we're the last. So,
Greg, do you change anything based on the result? If Iran go ahead and get the win, 3 points Iran or a draw?
No, I think you still go for it. I mean, we need a result in this game, regardless, because we know, if either team wins that game, they're ahead of us. If we lose, we're basement. So, like, we need. I feel like we need a performance at the very least against England. And I think we'll be, if Iran get a result or a tie, I think even a tie, I think we'll be bolstered. And I don't think that we should in any circumstance be afraid or go out trying not to lose instead of going for a win. I think that's a recipe for disaster.
What about at halftime if we're down 2 and there's been a tie in the other game?
Got to keep that goal differential in mind.
Oh man, I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of scenarios tomorrow, and I don't know if Greg can. I don't know if Greg's got it in him to take everything into account and make the right decisions. I sure hope. I'd love to just see us come out and get an early goal.
Oh yeah, me too.
And then just fight and just fight and have a performance.
I mean, it must be said that England
we've done before
often and gave a couple goals. So when they're switched off, if we can get them frustrated, if, like you say, we can get an early one, punch them in the mouth, and then frustrate them, I think there's potential. I think there's potential for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe Pickford lets one go between his legs.
That would be nice.
Yeah. We can only hope, man.
Did y'all see the I guess I don't want to say the spray chart, but the map from the game, and like all the crosses that, like, where all the balls were coming in from, they were all crosses, and the one goal that we had was the only ball in the middle of the field that we actually played.
That was a
and
pass.
It's like, what, we went wide so much, and I didn't understand that. I really didn't, because Josh Sargent, he's not winning a header in the box. He's just not. I mean, let's be real. You know, if it was Pepe, if it was Pfock, you know,
One off the
maybe
front post in the front half.
You got that one, yeah.
he did have that one. He did have that one. But it just I don't know. The game plan was really weird. Like it felt like we knew that we could take it to them, but then once we got to where we could take our opportunities, we lost our heads.
Yeah, I think that's just where they gave us space and where it was easier, and they played the easy ball. It might that's just where the space was, and they didn't play the risky ball in the middle, and maybe they should have, because to Jake's point, Tyler Adams is behind you, so you're going to be able to break down a counter attack, and maybe a few more risky balls puts us 2-0 ahead in the first half, and it's a different conversation.
Yeah,
But I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that chart. I hope Greg's seen that chart.
Yeah.
I hope they know that they need to do differently, and not just play the easy ball in the wing and then just throw one into the middle, hoping that someone's getting on the end of it.
I agree completely. As far as tomorrow goes, if we can get the ball in the pockets to either side of Declan Rice and get in behind him in between the lines, I think we can, and go at Harry Maguire. I think we can cause issues. We can cause trouble. And I'd like to see that, like you say, complete opposite of dinking it in from the outside, because we don't have the height. You know, John Stones is good in the air. Maguire's probably his best, attribute is heading, is in the air. And even if it's Eric Dyer, or Ben Davies, whoever they bring in the center midfield, they're both tall. So they're both good with headers. I agree. I think if we can get it down the center more, try to work past Declan Rice, couple of 1-2s, couple of quick balls, and I think we can cause trouble for sure. We need Gio Reyna for that.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think about the rumor that Tim Weah was playing as a 9 in practice? I read
don't
that
even know how that would make
about
sense.
2 weeks ago, that they were trying him as a 9 in practice so that maybe they could get maybe Reyna on the field with him. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe that's something that they're holding back for England so that they can play more 1-2s and use speed and some skill to do something. I mean, I think though that when you start doing things like that, you start overthinking it, and that's where you complicate things, and that's when you really start making mistakes instead of just letting things be.
Yeah. I know it's real interesting.
Yeah. Well, I hopefully Greg, we've talked a lot. We've said a lot of negative things about Greg, but I do think he came out with a good tactic in the first half of the.
Oh yeah.
I think we controlled the first half, and it was the adjustment that wasn't good. And so hopefully he does have something up his sleeve for England and catches them off guard. He's definitely been tight-lipped about it. I haven't seen any rumors about what the lineup is, and I've refreshed that Google search 20 times.
I think he's probably doing that on purpose, to be honest with you. But yeah, I agree that maybe he's just got a bulletproof game plan, and his whole thing maybe is hopefully we don't have to make adjustments, and plan A is just working, and hopefully it does.
Yeah.
So
what did we think of England against Iran? Do we think that was England's quality, or was that Iran's lack of quality?
That's a good question. I think that they definitely showed that they're not a team. They're a team that can get it done. But that's a good question, because they let in 2 goals.
But they checked out. It was 4-0. They checked out.
It's 4-1, wasn't it? 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6-2.
No, I'm saying it was 4-0, and England checked out, and then Iran hit one, and then England are like, okay, well, But I mean, it was the subs, right? So it's 4-0. The team, the starting 11 gets the 4 goals, and Iran scores one, and then came the subs, And like we were talking about, they're working for a spot. They're trying to get time. Marcus Rashford comes on, takes 3 touches, scores a brilliant goal. Well done. Definitely good to see that. You'd love to see your favorite players getting goals. I know, Brian, you love him. But yeah, they're fighting for all those subs were fighting for spots. So Jack Grealish come on, Phil Foden comes on and is running as hard as he can. Callum Wilson, it's 6-1. Callum Wilson is kicking people in the opponent's box, in the box. So they that's kind of how I felt that happened. England let up, made the subs, changed it, freshed it up. Those guys came in are like, hey, we got to impress right now with the time. We have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We got to do something crazy right now. And so they were all coming at it, and they got 2 more goals. But
Yeah.
to your question, Patrick, I think it's more if we knew England had this in them. They have this kind of quality and these kind of goals in them going forward. I was a bit surprised. I knew, I haven't seen a lot of Dortmund. I knew Bellingham's had a lot of hype. I thought he was fantastic. But I also will say that Iran weren't anything special at all. I didn't, they don't. I'm worried against Wales. I hope they come out knowing that they have to have a result. And, based on, if Wales don't put together a full 90 again, maybe. But yeah, I just don't see them doing much because they didn't show much at all, I thought.
Yeah, that's my concern too.
Especially since Wales don't, they don't want to, really, really press really, really hard. They'd rather sit back. I just don't see Iran breaking down any kind of a block. Yeah.
Moore guy didn't seem. He came on and completely changed the game for Wales, and he seems like a problem for a defense. That dude's like 6'5". He's huge. You can play any ball to him, and he just knocks it down for Bale. I mean, that looked like a dangerous combo. I don't know if the Wales coach is thinking about starting that Moore guy, but
he's had injury.
I don't know.
He's had fitness issues. I don't know if that's why he didn't start, but I'm with you. I will not be surprised to see him start tomorrow. Yeah. But yeah, I think England have that potential, but I also think it's interesting that even though they did score 6, I felt that they let up a little bit, and that is testament to the fact that Iran were poor. Spain had their foot on the gas the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time. There was no let up, And so you can kind of see that Iran, England let up a little bit. Iran didn't offer much, still scored 2 goals. Spain didn't let up at all. Costa Rica didn't offer anything and didn't do anything. Yeah. So we can only hope
Foden came off the bench, man. Phil Foden came off the bench. Like, come on.
Yeah, we talk about Brazil having people off the bench. Talk about when you change your front 4 and it's still Grealish, Foden, Rashford, and Callum Wilson.
It's like, what? Oh, man.
Do you think
they're nothing if not deep?
Yeah. Do you think they switch anything up against us?
I think Southgate sticks with what he knows works.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised by Sterling when I first
But he got a
saw
goal.
it.
Had a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. I don't know if I guess he probably earns a spot there, but that would be my biggest surprise.
Yeah. Southgate seems and he seems to pick the people that he likes. I mean, he does. Sterling has the 10 shirt, remarkably. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah. I mean, Grealish comes on and looks really good as well, and gets a goal. I think.
Absolutely.
He got the last one.
That 6th goal. Yeah.
Saka looked fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Saka looked fantastic.
He did. Yeah, he does. We knew that. We knew that was going to happen. Interesting. It's cool to see that Chelsea scored, or Chelsea got one, United got one, City got one, Dortmund got one. The boys got two. Arsenal
They
gets
got
two. Still on top.
Well,
You
if
know,
Reese was playing, it might have been two for Chelsea.
yeah. Hopefully it's none for none of them tomorrow.
I know, right? I want to be. I truly do want to be optimistic, but man, I really felt
Want to
like
be optimistic.
The Wells game was such a letdown. I mean, it felt like it was there for the taking, and it was just ripped away. And how does this team respond? First off, how does Greg change his tactics to not get out coached and outsmarted in a full half? Like I can understand if a team comes out at halftime and they 15, 20 minutes, cool. But you make that change. You change something up, you make it better, and you run with it. But it felt like that there just was no change. And we were just chasing at that point instead of actually being in control. I mean, it was literally a tale of two halves.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. But I mean, there's always, as a U.S. soccer fan, there's always reason to be optimistic. We've done some special things in World Cups, and we've surprised a lot of people, and we've surprised England before. So this is not our first rodeo when it comes to shocking a team, and I think we could do it, and I hope we do it tomorrow. We've seen everybody play, aside, of course, from the U.S. Who do y'all got in the final?
Oof. And oof. Yeah. That's tough. I don't know what the bracket is, but I think on performances, France Spain is looking likely.
I gotta go Brazil and either France or Spain, one of the two.
I think you're gonna have to beat all three of them to win this cup. I'll tell
Yeah,
you right now.
I do think
I,
that Belgium will perform better this next time out. They're gonna have to. I mean, there's really no choice for them at this point. They're gonna have to because Croatia can get a draw off of them, and then you're looking at them having to get 3 points against Morocco, and depending on what Morocco does, that whole group could be topsy turvy on match day 3.
Oh, yeah.
And Belgium could find themselves on the way out, but this is their golden generation. This is the last chance for them. But again, I talk about Greg and his tactics, but what about Roberto Martinez? I mean, you've got all of this attacking talent, you've got all of this talent, and they just don't look like they know what they're doing sometimes.
I mean, Batshuayi was the number 9 in that
Yeah.
team. I thought Hazard and my man were ghosts, and then
They were.
De Bruyne were ghosts
They were.
for sure.
They
Yeah,
were terrible.
I don't think that I don't think Belgium have what it takes to go deep. Not based on that performance.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
I like Brazil. I know that sounds like the obvious answer, but what I saw today was very encouraging. But Brazil getting out of the group was never a question, and it's never been a question. I think they said on the broadcast today that since 1998 they've won the group every year of the World Cup, and that's crazy when you think about it. But two, it's when they get against those European teams and can they break them down? Can they score? I I think that they can, and I think they've got a strong enough back line. I had questions about it, but I think they've got it back there. And of course, you got Casemiro there to break things up in the middle. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Looked like France, Brazil to me. I know Spain. Spain impressed. When you put in 7 goals in a World Cup, that's impressive. But I think Costa Rica is pretty bad.
yeah.
yeah, That's fair.
I think France Brazil is my match day one prediction. Although the way Japan played, I think they could just shock some people. I mean, when they've already shocked Germany, and they could go on to shock some more. I think.
I would absolutely
I think
love.
Argent.
I would absolutely love to see a new team in the semifinals.
That'd be great.
CONCACAF has never made a semifinal, and an African team has never made a semifinal. I would love to see it, man. I would love to see somebody go on a run. Obviously, us. Yeah, Japan looked great. I thought they looked great, but
I'm telling you, if Senegal had Mane, that is a totally different team, and they're probably one that you start talking about as a dark horse finalist.
they win that game. I think
they win that game for sure. But I mean,
up top.
You kind of start looking at that team, and well, I have to say this as a Chelsea fan. That second goal is totally 100% on Mendy. That was terrible. Absolutely horrible keeping. Absolutely horrible.
He's not great.
Like it's like it's like when he came to Chelsea, he had had somebody else's powers and skills, and then we won a Champions League final, and then it was like, okay, he's gonna go back to being like a high school goalkeeper. I mean, it's just so bad. But I mean, you look at that talent that Senegal team has, and they really are just missing that front man. And if they have Mane, I'm telling you that's a totally different animal at that point. But I like Ghana. I thought Ghana looked good. I think they looked. The one thing about Japan that really impressed me is they got down. One, they didn't panic. I mean, there was a sequence there where Germany should have scored a second goal. They didn't panic. They stayed, compact. They kept at it, and they used their speed, talent, whatever you want to call it, tactics, and they found a way. I mean, trying to get some past Nor is hard alone, but I mean, getting two, it's pretty impressive. So I do like that Japan team. I think they got a good group there, and they could surprise more people. But I am interested to see, truly talking about Spain, I'm interested to see, facing a talent like Germany, are they able to be as free flowing as they were against Costa Rica? And if they're not, how do they respond? Because you're talking about younger guys. I mean, that's a very young team, very, very young team. We saw it with the U.S. when the tactics got changed up and they started getting pressed. How do they handle it? They lost their heads, right? How does Spain handle it? You got you've got, of course, Busquets in the middle there. And of course, you got, Azpilicueta on the back end and a few older guys on that back end. But
guys are ancient.
He is. I'm telling you. But that young attacking talent, how do they handle that adversity? How do they handle that pressure?
Nope.
That's going to be interesting to see, because they're not going to be able to just out talent Germany. They're going to have to really play a clean game, because while I'm not impressed with this Germany team right now, they could surprise us and go and get a 2-1 against Spain pretty easily too.
They'll be better.
How do they respond? How does Argentina respond? That's questions.
With a slaughter.
I tend to agree.
With an absolute salvo. Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming back with a vengeance, and I don't think, especially if Poland decide to sit back, yeah, it's not going to be good. I think, and conversely, if Mexico try to go toe to toe with them, I think they'll get blasted apart too. Because I think Argentina know they need it. I think Messi knows this is it. I think they're going to come with it for sure. But yeah, well, anyway, I think we'll go ahead and call it right there. I know I'm excited about tomorrow. We got another. I'm obviously excited about the rest of the tournament. We got another few days here of 4-a-day games, and then it's on to everybody's favorite knockout soccer at the World Cup. Nothing like it. Yeah, well, anyway, this has been the For the Badge podcast. Thanks again, Brian, for coming out. Thanks again, Patrick, for being on again. I hope you enjoyed it, and good night.